Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing well out there. We're going to start with episode 20 of our Firebase 3 real-time chat application tutorial. Now, today's lesson is going to involve how to send videos inside of our chat applications to the various users in our system. So why don't we go ahead with a demo that I'm going to give you right now as to what this kind of looks like inside of our app. Now I'm logged into Tyrion Lannister on my phone here, and I'm going to click into Bran Stark. And upon clicking perhaps the play button for this guy right here, so I just tapped the play button right there, the video is going to actually start playing inside of the phone and on the screen right there. So it just stopped at the end of the file. And how this works is actually quite involved, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what it takes. First, the bottom left icon, I'm going to tap on it, and we're going to have the ability to not only upload images, but to include video files as well. So if I tap on this guy and choose, it's going to compress the video into a better format so that we can actually upload it online a little bit easier. And when that is all said and done, so you can see the upload progress on the very top of the navigation bar. This is the amount of bytes it takes to upload the file. And so you'll see the actual video file being rendered at the very bottom right there. So I have 3 of the same video files. And if you click on the play button, it actually plays the file. I'm not sure if it's going to be fast enough, but you'll see it actually plays the file. So that's pretty good. And we will look at how to do that exactly inside of our chat application today. So the first thing we will implement is the ability to select video files inside of our simulator. So if I drag in the simulator here, you'll notice that if I click on the bottom left, so you see videos in here already. And if I run the current application, you're going to notice that the video option is going to disappear. And I'll show you exactly how to make it reappear inside of our application here. So I'm logged in as Jon Snow, clicking in here. We are now missing the video option that we see inside of our phone. And there we go. So in the last video, we implemented this really nifty zooming in animation, and that's available in episode 19. If you guys are interested in learning how to build out that feature, please go ahead and visit the link down below in the description. It should be episode 19. Anyhow, let's get started with the code. And let's go to the chat controller. What we want to modify is this function called handle upload tap. And we get this function here. So to enable video uploading, so to make the video guy show up here, we actually have to modify this image picker itself to include the image picker media types, and you have to include an array of types in here. So if you click on this property and you look at the documentation for it, it says that this property is a single value of KUT type image. I don't exactly know what UT means, but essentially it is KUT type image, right? So you see how it's not showing up in here, and it's also giving us a compiler error. And the problem is we don't have this library imported into our project just yet. So let's import mobile core services, and while we're here, I'm going to also import AV Foundation for a little bit later. So here we go. All right, and this guy is telling us to insert as string, so that's exactly what we're going to do. So this is the actual default value. In order to enable the video uploading, we have to say KU type movie right there. And I think this also needs to be casted as a string like that. I'm going to run the application now. You're going to see that we can now upload the video files on our device. So here we go. We get Sam Charlie. We hit the upload. We get videos right here. So good stuff. Hopefully nothing too hard to follow just yet. And I'm going to cancel just to get out of that guy. Now, the first question you might be having is, how do I actually get video files into the simulator here? And the easiest way of doing so is to head over to this website called samplevideos.com right there. And I'm not sponsored by these guys, but they should probably sponsor me, huh? They have a list of files that you can download that is very mobile friendly, I suppose. And if you just hit the download right here, you actually get the file. And if you go into your sim or your hard drive, you can actually drag this file into the simulator just like that. And it's going to insert this file directly into your photo directory. So that's how that works. And then if you hit the image picker, you can actually select this video right there. So good stuff. Now that you have the video option available, what do we do when we actually select one of these guys and hit the choose button? That is the ultimate question here. So what you need to modify in the code is this image picker did finish picking with media info, this function down here. And if we just say if let video URL equals this info dictionary, and we use the key of a UI picker, let's see, URL, controller media URL. And then we close it off with a brace. We can simply say print, here's the file URL, let's see, colon, video URL. I think that's what we need. And why don't we just return as well? So let's take a look at what the URL for this video file is going to be every time we choose a video. And we click on there, click on choose video, click on this guy. So quite a few taps to get to the video, but we have to do it nonetheless. And here is the file URL. So good stuff. Now, what do we want to do with this file URL is the interesting question. The answer is we want to upload this file directly into Firebase storage right here somewhere. So Firebase storage, and I'm going to upload it as a movie file by saying Firebase storage, see reference, and this needs to be child of some kind of file name. And let's say file name equals some file name dot movie perhaps. And then here, we'll just say put file, and we can use this completion block handler here. And what is this file URL? Well, you notice if I type in perhaps video URL, you notice it's a type of any object like that. And to fix that issue, we can just cast this unwrapping as an NSURL, and we should be good to go with that. Metadata is nil. Completion block will enter. Let's see, metadata for the first guy here. And here we go. So let's first handle the error message inside of this upload. If error is not equal nil, we say print failed upload of video colon, and we'll say error like so. So nothing too fancy here either. And finally, let me just get some more space here. Let's see, we're still in chat live controller. We will say print, let's see, we can actually unwrap the actual file URL. So we can say if let's see, file, let's see, storage URL equals metadata dot, let's see, dot download URL dot absolute string, and we'll just print out this storage URL. So let's run this application now and see what we get every time we choose a video file in the simulator. And it should be pretty straightforward. We're just going to see this being printed on the very bottom. I click there, click a video there, and choose compression. And down below, we'll see the actual printing of the video file. So, all right, so what's happening there? Well, the reason why this is happening, the reason why it's stopped is because it's return statement. So we're just going to remove it But anyhow, the more important part is to look at this URL down here that's being printed on line 151. And I'm going to copy this guy and go over to perhaps this right here, refresh this console. And for the storage, we'll see the actual image, this sub file name guy right here. And this is the actual video file. And if you want to verify that the file is actually correct, you can actually hit the download, open the file, and you see this cute little bunny bear guy getting out of his little cave. Anyhow, what do we want to do with this storage URL now that we have a reference to it? So we're going to actually send this into Firebase database as well, Firebase database, as one of these message guys here. So, and what is it going to look like? Well, it's going to be some kind of message with an image attached to it. But why don't we first send it as a message inside of here? And the way to do that, let's see, what do we want to do here first? I actually want to remove this print statement here and just put a comment. We selected a video, and down here we actually selected an image. So let's see, we selected an image, and we can just cut this code here, paste that in here. And while we're at it, why don't I just clean up this code here just to make it easier for you guys to follow by including a private function of handle image selected for info, the info dictionary, I guess. Let's just say info. And this will be string to any object. And this, I'm going to cut this entire bit here and just paste it in here. Now we can say handle image selected for info of this info guy. And this info is pretty much this dictionary being passed inside of the controller. So that's pretty good. And while we're at it, why don't we also refactor this code out as well? And then we'll see how much simpler this is to follow. So handle video selected for URL, and we'll pass in this video URL guy. This function I'm going to create down here as a private function that perhaps URL NSURL, and then there we go. So why don't we just copy and paste this guy and paste it in here. I think we need to replace this video URL guy with this actual URL here. And there we go. There we go. So now our function is a lot cleaner. Hopefully you guys will also follow this very good practice of refactoring your code. Oh. So let's see what we get now. And hopefully our code hasn't broken in any way. Let's choose compress this video. And now it's going to upload it into Firebase storage with this URL. So notice how we don't really see what's happening during the upload process. We don't really know if it's actually uploading or the progress of it. So let's actually monitor what happens inside of the upload during this process here inside of handle video selected for URL. And here's what we are going to do. First, we need to create a reference for this actual uploading task by saying let upload task equals that. So that variable name hopefully makes sense to you guys. And we can say upload task dot observe status. And we'll say dot progress for this, hit enter for the handler. And we'll say snapshot right there. And we can simply print out what the snapshot progress is by saying print snapshot dot progress. I think we say completed unit count, and I think we are okay. And hopefully my syntax highlighting will come back. Every now and then Xcode seems to get confused with some of the code that I type. Anyhow, let's see, what's going to happen is when we're uploading the video file, we'll see the actual progress in the console down here. So you see the amount of bytes being uploaded is shown at the very bottom. And then upon completion, we actually execute the print statement of the storage. So to make it actually visible inside of our application, I'm just going to show the amount of bytes being uploaded at the very top in the navigation bar by saying, let me just unwrap this completed unit count first by saying if let completed unit count equals snapshot, progress completed unit count, and we'll say self.navigation item.title equals this completed unit count. And you notice how this is an int 64, so it's not going to allow us to set the title with that type of variable. So let's cast it as a string, and we should be good to go in terms of monitoring the actual progress of the upload. So let's see what that looks like here. Click there and click on the video picker, click on an actual video, compress it, and then at the very top you see the actual progress of the upload. So the file is about 1.4 megabytes. And you notice how this is kind of stuck at the very top now as the byte count. So why don't we also say upload task.observe status of the success of the upload, and we can actually specify somewhat the exact same thing of navigation title of self.user.name. And what this will do is pretty much puts the username back up to the very top of the nav bar. So nothing too fancy on this little mini procedure here. Okay, uploading. So a lot of this stuff just makes your UI really, really refined and kind of keeps the user up to date with what's going on inside of your application. So good stuff. Now the more interesting part is how do we actually get it to show up in the chat log? If I can bring back my phone here. Let's see. So we actually want to bring the actual movie file inside of our chat log as one of these bubbles. So the way to do that is to actually take a look first at what handle image selected for info is doing. And it is pretty much uploading this Firebase storage using image, this function here. And so if I command click insert, it takes me down here. And let's see what this guy is doing. So it's actually uploading an image to Firebase storage via this guy somehow. And then it's sending this message with that image URL from Firebase storage. So if I command click in here, what does it do? It actually sends this message along with a couple of properties such as the image URL width and height. So I'm going to make this easier to follow and just copy out this guy out of this function here. And if I go back to let's see, handle video selected for URL here. When it's completed and we know the storage URL, I'm going to upload it directly into the chat log, right? So what I'm missing are some of these properties here, and I'm going to comment that out. Now I'm going to say properties equals, let's see, is of type string any object. I believe that's okay. And this needs to be a dictionary of actual properties. So the property that I want to send in is this actual storage URL. So here's what we need to do. I'm going to actually call it video URL perhaps, and give it the storage URL. And why don't we just change this to video URL just to make it a little cleaner. And I'll remove that guy and remove that line as well. So I think this needs a self because we are inside of a closure completion block. I'm going to send the file right now. You're going to actually see it being rendered as a bubble inside of the chat log. So there we go. Let's see the fruits of our labor so far. I'm going to choose that, and it's going to compress, it's going to send, and then at the very end, it shows up as this blue bubble. So good stuff. That's what we want, or that's actually what we need to kind of verify that all of this stuff is kind of working. And what we want to have happen is to actually render out an image for our video file. So how do we get the image? Well, we're going to get the first frame of our movie file using an asset generator. So for some of you guys that have not seen this before, this is how you would get the frame of a movie on your phone by simply calling this right here. So let's see, handle video selected for URL. Okay, now you notice how this is becoming quite a bit of code as well. So I'm not going to introduce any more complexity in here. And instead I'm going to just call perhaps let thumbnail image equals some kind of function that will get me this thumbnail. So this is going to be a private function, and we'll call it thumbnail image for URL, and this will be the actual video URL. So let's see, video URL, perhaps this is more clear, video URL, ns URL, like that. It'll return a UI image object like that. Okay, I'm going to use this function up here, and for this thumbnail image right here, I'm going to pass in video URL, and what does that give me here? So I build, and I think this needs to be something else entirely. Okay, so this is actually the video URL string, and I actually need this URL instead. So this gives me the NS URL object that I actually need. So this is the actual file URL, and we have to make sure our variables actually make sense. So let's take this and paste it in there. And the file URL is actually what I'm passing in, not the URL from the uploading of Firebase storage. Anyhow, make sure to keep that kind of all straight and ironed out while you're coding. And now we have this thumbnail image. Well, how do we actually generate this thumbnail image? So as I was mentioning earlier, what we have to do is we have to use an asset generator. This will be AV asset generator, I think generator. See, image generator like this. I think we'll call this image generator. And this needs an asset variable as the constructor. Well, the asset will be just this, AV asset, like here. And we specify the actual file URL. That'll give us the asset for the movie. And we'll pass in asset here. And we can actually say, let thumbnail, see, image equals image generator dot, I think it's this copy CG image at time. So this is quite a strange name for a method, but here's what it'll return us. It'll actually return us a CG image, which we will just call this right here. So thumbnail, perhaps we'll just call this CG image. Maybe thumbnail CG image is a little clearer for you guys. Here's what we need to do. We will have to return UI image with a constructor of CG image, which will take in this thumbnail CG image. So here's essentially what the entire function will give us, or what it'll do to return the thumbnail image. Anyhow, we need to fill out some of these parameters here. So this is kind of the confusing part, is I guess what I'll call it. For CG time, we will say CG or CM, what is it? CM time. So CM time, we call this make constructor. And for value, we'll use a value of 1. And for timescale, we'll use a value of 60. Now, don't ask me exactly what the timescale parameter means. It says timescale field resulting CM time. Basically, this gives us the first frame of the video file for this URL. And the actual time will just say nil, like so. And that's pretty good. Now, this guy right here is going to complain that this function actually throws this copy CG image at time. And what we need to do for throwing functions is to actually catch the error with a do catch, let error like so, and print out the error like that. And we need to cut this entire code and put it in the do block like so. And finally, this function right here, it says that it needs to be marked with a try. So that's what we need to do. And inside of here, we'll actually return this image that we're going to construct. So that's that. And what do we need to do here? So if all of this is successful, we can actually just return the image like this. And if we encounter this error right here, we have to return something. And then something is going to be a nil object. And when you return a nil like this means that the return type will have to be an optional value instead. And this means that this is possibly nil. Now, to resolve this nil object now, it's very easy by just saying inside of this function handle video selected for URL, we can just say if in front of this thumbnail variable, and at the very end we'll close it off as a brace like so, and this is unwrapping this nil object here. So good stuff. Now that we have the thumbnail image, we can actually construct the properties that we had from before. So I'm going to cut this, paste it in there, and thumbnail image will be this. Okay, the thumbnail image will actually be this size and that right there. And what we need to do is we actually need to get this image URL as well. So all we're missing now is image URL, this guy right here. So why don't we cut this and let's see if I can do this so it's not too confusing. So we're missing that perhaps there. And then instead of setting the properties down here, I'm going to also cut out this video URL and include it inside of this dictionary. Finally, I will paste this down here, and I think we should be good to go here. So I'm gonna run the application now. I'm gonna send all this stuff into my chat message controller. So go in there, and we see this empty block here. And then we'll select the video, perhaps the same one. And there we go. So we're not going to see an actual image in here, but we actually get the width and height of the thumbnail image. So that's pretty good. Now we just have to actually render out this image. Well, the way that this works is whenever we send out the image or send the message with these properties, we really need the image URL so that it knows what to render. And the way we kind of did it before is whenever we select one of these image guys, perhaps this right here, we choose it, we send it, we actually execute this code right here, which uploads to Firebase storage using this image URL here, or this image object. And at the very end, we send it off using this image URL being fetched from the Firebase storage. So essentially, we obtain a image URL for this waterfall image here. Now we can execute all of this code again, is what we need to do. So instead of copying and pasting and then figuring out what the URL is in here, so for example, what we really need to do is execute this guy here, and then now that we have the thumbnail image, we can paste the entire thing here and then get the URL somehow. So if I fix this here, I think we get that. And so we actually get the image URL here. So instead of doing all of this, so we're going to do some refactoring here. And refactoring is always a lot of fun because it really cleans up our code and makes it really reusable in multiple places of our files. So how do we want to refactor this? Well, I'm just going to kind of tell you guys how to do this. And let's see. So the important part about this upload process is that we get this metadata back from the Firebase storage reference right here. And We get the image URL from this metadata object. And finally, we actually execute this uploading process. So the refactoring that we will do is to introduce this thing called a completion block, which executes on a object of type, let's see, image URL. Perhaps this, let's see, storage. I guess we'll just call it image URL. This will be of type string. And this completion block just returns nothing or returns void. And inside of here, we'll say completion right here with this image URL string. And we'll pass this guy, this image URL, this guy, into that completion block right here. So we can comment this guy out. And we need to now build the code so it doesn't compile. And we're missing this completion block handler for this function call right here. So let's type out this upload to Firebase method again with this selected image, and we'll enter for the completion block. And instead of calling this inside of this code, we'll call this up above here. And I think we should be good to go. So selected image, and then we can just remove this guy down here as well. So I'm gonna run this code now, and you'll see that I can actually upload the image just like before, but I have this mechanism to access the image URL every time we upload it to Firebase. So let's upload her, and we get the upload there, and we get the actual image right there. So nothing has broken, but now that I have this completion block, I can head back up to handle video selected for URL. I can actually just upload this image by saying self.upload to Firebase using image. We'll use this first frame from the asset generator guy, and we'll just pass it in there. Completion block, we'll hit enter. And we get this image URL here now. And for this code, we'll just do this. We'll paste all of this guy inside of there. And let's remove some of these spaces. So now that we have this image URL, why don't we just plug it back into this properties guy. And I think we can remove this comment as well. So let's now run this, and I'm going to show you that, or hopefully show you that the video's first frame will be rendered out as the chat message inside of our cell. So let's click on this video here, click on here, compress it. You should be able to see this frame as the very first frame of the image inside of our chat log. So there you go. You get the bear, or the rabbit, I guess, coming out of his cave. So that's all fine and dandy. And one thing I want to fix here is, you notice how every time I upload this file, you get this thing called some file name. And if we look at this some file name.movie, I think it's this file actually, we actually need to generate a new video file for every video we send. So instead of some file name, the way to generate a random string is to use NSUID paren, and we'll just use UID string. So that's what the file name will be. And let's see if I can append a .move to it. So this is a movie file. It makes it a little bit more human readable. And if I run this application now, we'll get a random file being inserted into this directory instead. So let's click here, and let's click on a video. Hopefully this will be fast enough for you guys to kind of enjoy. Here we go. We get the sending, and then we should be rendering out the first frame pretty soon. So I'm going to refresh this storage guy here, and we get the first frame in our simulator. And if my connection is fast enough, we'll get this storage guy to refresh. Let's see. Is today a good day? Did I pray to the gods of Firebase storage? So I just hit the refresh again. And now we get this file right here at the very top, right here. So to make this a little cleaner for you guys in terms of storing your movie files, you can actually append a child first right before the file name child. And we can say child with a path of message _ movies. And what this is going to allow us to do is every time you upload a video, it's going to be inserted into a new directory under here. And hopefully, if you guys are patient enough with me today, let's see what uploading this 5-second file will give us. We get this guy right here. It looks a little cleaner, so that's what we get. And if we refresh Firebase storage one final time, you're going to see message movies here, and then all of our movie files are being inserted right here. So good stuff. All right, that's going to wrap it up for today. If you enjoyed today's lesson, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. And in the next video, we're going to talk about how to actually play the video files that we just uploaded. Very exciting stuff, so I hope you guys look forward to that. And finally, if you're interested in downloading the project, you go ahead and click on the link on the screen or in the description below.